Hello, welcome everyone. We are live. My name is Caroline Potter and I am an NTP certified by the Nutritional Therapy Association. Obviously you guys know that if you're watching. But hello from Spain. I'm currently living in Spain. The walls are really thin here, so if you hear anything or dogs barking, the walls are very thin here in Spain. But hello, if anyone's live, I would love to for you guys to write your name, where you're from, say hello. I love saying hello to people. But I'm really excited to be here with you guys. It's tonight for me, so it's a little bit dark, hence there's lights on, it's pitch black outside. And I'm sure we will have some people from Australia maybe joining us tomorrow. Probably not watching this live, I think they're sleeping. But wherever you guys are from, say hello and welcome. So I'm super excited to be here with you all and share a little bit about my story and my passion for being an NTP. So I think it's so fun. My husband and I just recently moved to Spain, and I think it's so fun that I can do my job from wherever I am, and I can connect with people from all over the world, quite literally. And I think that's just such a cool part of doing nutrition is no matter where you are in the world, someone always needs it. People always need help, and it's something that everyone can relate to. So that's something I've loved about being an NTP. But for those of you that don't know, I am the author and photographer and voice, I guess you would call it, behind the blog Colorful Eats. I also wrote a cookbook that came out, wow, now it's 2017, so I can say it's been 2 years now. That seems crazy. And that's called All American Paleo Table, and that kind of I'll get into a little bit more about why I wrote that, but you can find me over on Colorful Eats. And then I love Instagram, which is Hi Jessica from Los Angeles. You still have your whole day ahead of you, Jessica. My day's ending. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. What was I saying? Oh, Instagram. I love connecting on Instagram. That's called Caroline 2_, and then my last name Potter. So connect with me, say hi. So my personal story, how I got into all of this. When I was 20, a junior in college, my second semester, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, which all of you guys should know is an autoimmune disease. It is not type 2, it's very different. And it pretty much radically changed my life, and that's kind of an understatement. I can now say that it's changed my life for the better, and I've seen that especially over the past few years. So that's something kind of cool to see. I'm sure many of you in the nutrition field have also seen these really sad, difficult things turn into something good and beautiful and something that can help people. So that's a huge part of my story, is really finding the joy in it all. But I was raised in Southern California, so I was raised in a very healthy home. We never were allowed to have soda, donuts, Cheetos, anything like that. My mom was the lady that, hi Michaela from Oregon, I love Oregon. My mom was the person that served us, sandwiches with tuna and almond butter, and we had carob instead of chocolate, and so I was always raised in a really healthy home. So when I first got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, I was like, oh, I don't have diabetes, like there's no way I have that. And it wasn't until I really got into it that I realized really that type 1 was an autoimmune disease. And long story short, I'm really thankful for the home that I was raised in and how my parents raised me, with just kind of healthy living, a healthy lifestyle, how that really came into play later on in my life, because that really did kind of set the foundation. And so a few months into my type 1 diabetes diagnosis, I gained a lot of weight, like a lot, very quickly. I gained about 22 pounds in 2 weeks, which when you're a 21-year-old girl is not fun. And I was pretty much constantly fainting all the time. I was on insulin. I didn't realize I was on way too much insulin because I was just doing what the doctors told me. And the doctors told me to just go ahead and eat whatever I wanted as long as I say now, chased it with insulin. And a few months into that, I just realized this was no way to live. This was not going to be my life for the rest of my life. I just couldn't handle it. And so I eventually, I read some books. I pretty much read everything I could get my hands on, worked with a really great nutritionist, still continued taking my insulin, obviously. and I cut out all grains, gluten, and refined sugars from my diet. And I did that right about the time of my 21st birthday, and I'm now 26. So I haven't eaten a bite of any of that stuff in 5-6 years now, unless I accidentally get sugared, which sometimes happens. And I truly felt great. It was amazing. It was completely amazing to see just food, how that worked in my life and how it worked so quickly. Once I gave, up the grains, the gluten, all those things, I was able to lower my insulin by a lot. I was eventually able to get off of it for about a year. I had a very long honeymoon phase, which without getting too technical. And anyway, through all that, through my story, it just really gave me a passion for nutrition. And I saw so many people with type 1 diabetes, and just health struggles. I just saw, like, the phrase, the struggle is real. The struggle is real. And it just kind of broke my heart. And so I was graduating college at that time, and my nutritionist, who's kind of like a second mother and a business mentor and a nutrition mentor to me in San Diego, where I'm from, mentioned just kind of in passing, I think I was heading back to my second semester of senior year at this point, so about a year after I had been diagnosed. She just kind of mentioned, you should think about, going to nutrition school and helping other people. You have a really great story to share. And so I just signed up. People always ask me if I did a lot of research because they know that I research a lot, and I honestly didn't. I took the word of someone I really trusted. I had no clue. I think I visited the NTA website to sign up. I think that's the only time I ever visited it till I had to log in and find the reading list. So I pretty much just signed up. Thankfully, I had a really supportive family. In the process of signing up, I got engaged and married and moved to Hawaii, and my husband deployed. So all that was going on while I went back to school, but I'm really thankful that I had supportive parents and a supportive husband who just really encouraged me to do all that despite all the life change. So yeah, how I found NTA, I just kind of, I truly just signed up based off of what a very trusted person in my life recommended, and I didn't really do any research on it, and I'm really thankful for it. And so I guess, if you have those people in your life that you really trust, or even maybe you have clients that really trust you, I think that those are just really great people to have in your life. So that's how I got involved with the NTA. I did the San Diego program, and I graduated in 2013. And so during all that, like I said, I married a military guy, and so I pretty much realized that my life would never be in one spot. We've moved many times in the 4 years that we've been married. And so I kind of decided from the beginning that I was going to do everything online, everything electronic. And I'm really glad that I did decide that up front. Granted, I'm sure a lot of you have more permanent living situations than I do. So yeah, I pretty much do everything online, and that led me to starting a blog, which is probably one of the best ways to get information out there. And then I see clients through Skype, FaceTime, email, a lot of phone calls, and obviously sometimes I talk to people in person as well, like family and friends that I interact with, and sometimes I do miss kind of more that personal touch, but thankfully this modern age. And hello from London, yay, we have some Europe people. So you are on. Hey Justin from London, I can see your comments come through, so it's kind of fun. Someone on my side of the pond, I guess, as you would say. But it's been really cool to see that I've still been able to do all my nutrition work, and you can still, if you're a military spouse like me, or if you're someone that moves a lot, maybe your husband has a job, or maybe you're a male and your wife has a job that they move a lot. Hey Melissa from Kansas. So it really, I think that's just the beauty of the NTP training, is that you really truly can do it from anywhere. That's just something that you kind of have to decide. So I have questions on a clipboard that they gave me. That's what I keep looking at. Your experience of the program. So something that, besides it being amazing, I highly recommend it. Something that really always stood out to me while I was going through reading everything. I always say I'm kind of a nerd. I love to read and I love to learn things, but something that just kept standing out to me, and I think NTA also does a really beautiful job in how they lay the foundations and how everything goes back to those foundations. And at least 2 years ago, I'm assuming they're training people the same way because I graduated now 2-3 years ago. And so once you really grasp those foundational principles and you really understand the science behind it, which is something that NTA really trains you very well, and I really appreciate that. It just amazed me how like interconnected and how beautiful the body is, and how the body. Hey Susan, oh, you're planning to work online. That's great. Yay. I'm glad you like my podcast and my website. Thanks for saying hi. What was I saying? I get distracted from people's comments. I love comments. Also, if you guys have questions, there will be some time for questions at the very end. So save your questions maybe till the end so I don't get distracted, but then you can type them. But yeah, what stood out to me about just the program and the training is truly how wonderful the body is made. And the body is really designed, like the body wants to heal. The body doesn't want to be in this kind of like modern disease phase that we have with truly all these modern diseases. I mean, that's what the medical community even calls them. And so our body doesn't want to do that. It wants to heal, even different things like food sensitivities. The body wants to heal from that. And so I think that that's something that was really eye-opening to me, and something that I love that NTA trains you that way so that you really can see that. And I think in nutrition, and I think something that's really important in our jobs as NTPs or in the nutrition field is people usually are coming to you. They want help. They want help in fixing a problem. And so I think really just keeping the energy positive that you promote and seeing things, don't give your clients false hope like, oh, your body's going to heal, because maybe, it doesn't. But just having that positivity that you bring to nutrition, I think that's a way that NTPs really stand out. And I think that's largely due to the way that the NTA trains us. So that's something that I've always loved. Other experiences, I think I was the youngest person in my program. I felt very young. I was 21. I think there was one other girl who was like my age, and we were the two youngest. Not that that's anything wrong. I just felt very, very young doing it. That always stood out to me. Another thing is the digestion module. I don't know what you call them. Digestion section was fascinating. I could sit down and talk for hours about digestion, and I think sometimes I do to people, and then I'm like, oh, maybe they don't want to hear all that. But I would say that's something that if you kind of passed over, hopefully you didn't, but if you are an NTP, make sure you know that, because that digestion section, that relates to so many things. So many things, and you'll see that more and more. And even if you're like a person who's a prospective NTP who maybe wants to go through the training, pay attention for sure. Go over that section over and over and over and over it, because digestion is fundamental, and it's very eye-opening. And yeah, that was just mind-blowing, that digestion section. Okay, what venue you attended? I attended the San Diego one, but now so when I attended, there was only programs in the US, and now there's so many more options you can choose from. So there's the US, Canada, Australia. So you can go to nutritionaltherapy.com and get more information on that. Okay, what has NTA meant to your health or your family's health? Well, right now my immediate family is just me and my husband, and he, like I said, he kind of came into the picture about a year after my diagnosis, but he has been so supportive, and I'm really, really thankful for that. And I think that's something that if you do have a health struggle, or if you're encouraging clients with a health struggle, getting that family member, whoever it is, if it's a husband or wife, maybe it's a child, maybe, or it's a single family and they need support from the parents, or even a best friend or coworker. But having that support system is key. That's totally key to just the big picture of your nutrition. So yeah, it's impacted my family's health. My husband eats just the same way that I do, except he is out to sea a lot. And it's funny because usually his number one complaint is about the food. And I always joke with him that he always says, he's like, my stomach hurts. And so, which makes me really sad. But yeah, he feels so much better. He didn't really have weight to lose when he met me, and I think he lost like 10 pounds. Just kind of that like water toxic weight that he didn't even know he had to lose. So I would say it's definitely impacted him for the better. He gets lots of snacks, healthy snacks from me, and a lot of people he works with, I think, benefit from that. So that's kind of cool to see. And when I was writing my cookbook in the recipe testing phase, I would always send lots of goodies to my husband in the ship, and it was really cool to see people who don't eat this way, and they would just be like, oh, that's really good. And it's amazing kind of when people's eyes are open to real food and you just present it as food. You don't make a big deal about, oh, it's free of dairy and gluten and all these things. When you just present it as food, it's amazing how people just get excited about it. And I think people crave real food, and they crave that taste and that flavor, and it's really satisfying. And so that's been really cool to see. I love to cook for people. I love having people over, and it's something that my husband and I have just kind of developed a passion for, doing that together. And so yeah, that's really fun to see that how my story of diagnosis led me to getting my nutrition training, and how in turn that is, through my story, that's affecting other people that come into our home, whether they really realize it or not, or whether I really realize it or not. It's really cool to hear people just say, oh, like, I feel good when I eat your food, and there's nothing that makes me like happier than that. So I would say it definitely has impacted my family, my friends, even some people my husband works with. I hope it's impacted them for the better. So that's definitely been really cool to see that process. And my husband does not get sick very often, and neither do I. We get sick occasionally, which is good. It's good to get sick occasionally, but it's really cool to see that when you hear so many other people get sick, I'm like, sending him with his vitamin C and oregano oil, and normally he does pretty good. Melissa is writing a story, and I can't see it all because the screen's so little. Melissa said, your story is inspiring and sounds like we went through similar things at the same age. Interested in the school. I'm scared to apply, and I'm not sure why. Hey, Melissa, if you're scared to apply, don't be. Send me an email. You can send me an email, caroline@colorfuleats.com. And I think sometimes the things that we view as scary, it's just about getting outside of our comfort zone and pushing ourselves. And if there's one thing that NTA does really well, it's the support system, and it's just, it's a very positive, loving environment. So in no way be scared. You should definitely apply. Send me an email. Again, that's caroline@colorfuleats, and I'm happy to talk to you anytime. But if you definitely are interested in the school, I would say do it. You will be very thankful for it later, maybe a year later, maybe 2 years later. But yeah, NTA just trains you in such a beautiful way, and it's I think that's a big part of why people like myself, NTPs, have been successful in helping other people, just because, like I said before, kind of that nurturing, nourishing environment that how they train you with the schooling. Send me an email, Melissa. I will be looking for it. Okay, how did NTA impact your career? Well, like I said, I pretty much graduated from college and went straight back into this schooling. I was actually a French major, so I never really did anything with that besides go to France, which is awesome. But yeah, so I guess it impacted me hugely because it's been my whole career. Expand on your, okay, my area of expertise. So I work with a lot of people with blood sugar issues, obviously, because that's what I have. A lot of parents that have children that have type 1, which is just heart-wrenching conversations to have. I'm very thankful that I got diagnosed later on in life, because talking to parents that have children with type 1 is just, literally it ends in tears. My husband knows I usually cry after those consultations because it's very difficult. So yeah, my area of expertise definitely would be blood sugar. I would say food. I don't know if that's an area of expertise, but like I said, I did write a cookbook, and that's called All American Paleo Table. I don't eat fully paleo, but the book does have mostly dairy-free. I think there's like 4 recipes that have dairy in them. So I wrote that cookbook just because I think when you go through something like a health diagnosis or having severe allergies or just wanting to eat more healthy in general, because a lot of people just want to be more healthy in general, I think a big part of that is food, and also the emotions that are associated with food. And so when you remove all these food groups, it's really important that you still have to replace them. So a big part of my cookbook is just going through different events like 4th of July, Christmas, Thanksgiving, breakfast, weeknight meals. What is there? There's a game day. We just finished football section. There's a game day section of my cookbook, which is one of the favorites. And so I think it's really important that you for sure, learn to create those foods using healthy ingredients, those foods that are associated with your memories of Christmas, with birthday parties, with different things like that. So that's kind of what my cookbook focuses on. They're all kind of like American events, so to speak. But that was just something that was really missing in my life when I cut out all those foods after I got diagnosed. And, it's hard because food is such an emotional bond. And I think that's sometimes why we have both a positive and negative aspect of food, because it's like, okay, well, I don't want to give up grandma's apple pie, but grandma's apple pie is sadly making me sick. There's an apple pie recipe in my cookbook. So it's just thinking through different ways to get creative. So I'd say another way my expertise would be maybe food. I usually publish a new recipe about once a week, and that's it's a lot of work. Food blogging is a ton of work. Hey Heidi from Kentucky. But it's really fun. It's a creative outlet. I taught myself how to photograph, which is kind of a huge passion of mine now. I love photography. So it's cool to see how, I never would have thought that my NTP training would lead to a passion in photography and food photography, and write a cookbook. But it's just cool to see how things kind of come full circle. So yeah, I started off by saying I do mostly everything online. So I do a lot of blog posts, newsletters, and then also working with clients one-on-one as well. I do a lot of lifestyle things. I do a lot of safe beauty, safe skincare, non-toxic living. You can find more about all of that wonderful stuff on my blog, Colorful Eats. And I think that lifestyle factor is something that we cannot ignore, and something that we need to talk more about. We need to talk more about the stress. We need to talk more about women, what makeup you're wearing, the sheets you sleep on every night, I think I already said stress, physical stress and emotional stress. And I think all those things matter. And I think sometimes we just want to talk about the food, maybe because it's easy, and maybe because it's the most apparent part of nutrition. But the lifestyle stuff is huge, and I would say it's just as important as the food that you eat. And that's something I've really seen in my life once I kind of got over the initial diagnosis and really got the eating part down. I still was on that hump. So if you have clients or even in your own personal life, if you're kind of just at that plateau where you're I know I can feel better, but I don't know how to get there, it's usually if you're eating healthy, you know, it's not going to be that. You really have to look at those lifestyle aspects. Stress is a huge one, especially in this world that we live in. You know, we're constantly glued to our phones, our computer, our email, different things like that. So yeah, the lifestyle factors are huge, and that's something that I really talk a lot about on my blog. And even when I talk with clients, I always try to keep it kind of half food and then half lifestyle, because, you know, the physical stress as well as the emotional aspect, that truly matters. All right, what new projects do you have? Well, my latest project was moving to Spain. So just kind of getting settled and readjusted to life. So I have a few things that I've been working on, but very slowly. I want to make sure that they're really down right. And so, yeah, and just kind of being slow with that. I'm hoping to do a lot more with people with blood sugar issues like myself, as well as kind of maybe a group program. So more on that to come. I'm not going to say much about new projects yet, but after writing a cookbook and moving and doing all that fun jazz, it's been nice just to kind of take a little breather, so to speak. Okay, what most commonly asked questions from clients? Usually they're questions I can't answer due to people wanting to know a lot of specifics about how I manage type 1 diabetes. They want to know insulin amounts. They want to know, usually they want to know insulin amounts. People are always shocked that I say I'm not on that much insulin, and that's kind of all I can say because I'm not a doctor, and anyone that's gone through the NTA training knows that they really drill that into your head. So the questions I get the most, I actually can't answer because that could be seen as medical advice. So that's always an interesting conversation. It's also kind of hard to help people sometimes when you can't answer those questions that they ask you. And then I would say the other primary question I get is people want to know just how I personally manage diabetes so well and dealing with it. And those, you know, general questions are things that I can't answer. And I think my biggest encouragement is always go back to the big picture. Like I just finished saying, your food is always the foundation. Food is really important, but you have to look at other factors. You have to look at lifestyle, stress, even exercise. Sometimes your body can see exercise as a stressor. So there's so many different things that go into it. And I think that again always goes back to the way that NTA trains people is look at those foundations, keep that big picture in mind. And yeah, just always keep that big picture in mind. And that's, you know, often that looks like different things to different people, and you can kind of help your clients that way. But, you know, if someone's struggling with some issue and, you know, it looks like on paper, food-wise, they're doing everything the right way, you have to take a step back and look really at that bigger picture. And so that's something I think that NTA did a really good job of training. Look at those foundations, and then also look at the bigger picture of life, because sometimes it's, you know, something emotional, and that could be holding someone back from improving in their health, improving their lifestyles. So yeah, I think the big picture questions are things that I always focus on, because sometimes they're things that people don't realize because they don't come out right away. So different things like, oh, I'm sensitive to dairy, or oh, I can't eat peanuts, or, you know, oh, I'm allergic to gluten. Things like that are really generally easy things to see. They're kind of the things I say, like they come out on paper. They're really easy, but I think you really have to dig deeper, and you have to find kind of some underlying issues sometimes. And a lot of times that's very freeing and very liberating to people in their health journey. I think that was everything. Does anyone have any questions? You guys can type them. NTA Australia was watching. Oh, fun. Hello from Australia. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, you can always send me an email. My email is caroline@colorfuleats.com, and my website is colorfuleats.com, and I do a lot of fun stuff over there. And then you can connect with me on Facebook, that's Colorful Eats, and then my Instagram is Caroline_Potter. And Instagram is probably the easiest way to connect with me. I love Instagram, I love pretty pictures, fun things like that. But yeah, if anyone, I think everyone was just saying hi before. I wonder if I can scroll through this. Yep, I think everyone was just saying hi. Oh, I also have a podcast, and that is Colorful Eats, and NTA sponsors that. So thank you guys for helping make what I do possible. But yeah, if anyone has any questions, let me scroll to the bottom. Tara, I'd love to know what your first steps were when you started your business. Oh, so many things. My biggest encouragement to you is whether you're starting an online business or a physical business, any business is never do anything for free. You just spent a lot of time and money in, in investing in your education, and never sell yourself short. If that means that, maybe help your mom out. Help my mom out all the time. She's adorable. But yeah, don't, even if you're helping a friend, I think when there is that monetary investment, let's say your client or your friend invests in you, even if you give them a friend discount, you're setting them up for success, because now they've invested in their health. And people don't like to waste money, no one does, and so they're going to take it more seriously. So I think one of the mistakes I made at first was, I'm not qualified, and I really sold myself short. And so yeah, Tara, never do anything for free. My second recommendation is get good headshots. And if you're a guy, it will be a little bit cheaper. If you're a girl, spend the money to get your hair and your makeup done, and get a good photographer and get good headshots. Especially if you're doing things online, you might not need those as much if your business is all in person. But people, especially in nutrition and especially in health, they're connecting with you, and so they want to see an image of health from you, and that's who they're giving their money for. So especially if you're doing anything online, make sure that I know it costs a lot of money. Photography costs a lot of money, and it is worth it. And just make sure that you're presenting a polished image, a healthy image, and truly who you are. Truly present who you are. I would not say, don't pose in weird photographs and try to be someone you're not. But yeah, invest in the photographs. The next step of starting a business is, again, I did everything online. So I would say, blogging. There's a lot of great affiliate programs, different things like that, that you can get set up with so that you can make money. Blogging is hard at first. And so I can't really speak to having a physical location. I can only really speak to having a blog. The next step, obviously building a website. That's pretty easy to do nowadays, even if you don't have a lot of money. You can build a website pretty easily. And then the next step, headshots, websites, and just start. It's scary. If you're starting, an in-person business, meaning a physical location, or if you're starting an online blog, it's scary. No matter what you do, it's scary. But just start. You're gonna regret not starting somewhere. Don't say, Heidi is taking copious notes. Oh my gosh, you guys are funny. Send me an email if you need more help. Now I lost my train of thought. Oh, don't wait until tomorrow. What is it? Nike's slogan, just do it. And that is totally true with starting a business, is just do it. You're going to fail. You're going to feel like you work 20 hours a week, especially if you ever write a cookbook, you're really gonna feel that. You're gonna feel like sometimes you don't even know what to do. Talk to people. There's a lot of people that can help. And but yeah, just start somewhere. I think that sometimes we think that we have to have this like perfect business plan in order to start a business. And the reality is maybe years ago that was the case, but I think now it's just starting. And it's okay to make a mistake. I've made plenty of mistakes. I am still paying for some of my mistakes I have made business-wise. But that's okay, because you're gonna regret not doing something. So just start, and also share your story. I think a big part of nutrition is, I work 13 hours a day on my organic, healthy food store. Yes, starting a business is a lot of work, Jonathan. It's just, you feel like you're doing it all the time. What was I gonna say? Oh, always relate to your story, what your passion is about nutrition, and people will connect with that. And you don't have to have like a serious health issue to have a story. Just really sharing your passion, people totally connect with that, and that's something that's really relatable, just to keep it real. And I say all the time, if you've ever listened to my podcast, I say all the time how I like fail at like being a good nutritionist in my own life sometimes, but that's life. Just keeping it real is something that people, they crave that. I think clients crave that, your audience craves that, and so for sure keep it real. Natalie says, what was your favorite part of the class? I talked about that at first, Natalie, kind of toward the middle maybe, so you can go back and listen to that, watch that. I guess this is live. But yeah, my favorite part was just how like beautiful the body comes together and how everything wants to work synergistically together. And then my second favorite is the digestion section, because that's just like fascinating to me. The nerd in me, that's fascinating. Does anyone have any other questions? Also, I had a really great lead instructor. I don't know what they're called. Francesca. She was amazing. She was just totally amazing. She taught the San Diego class, and she was super passionate about nutrition and about the science behind it and just everything that we learned. So I would say, yeah, I keep wanting to say group leader, but I want to say lead instructor. My lead instructor was amazing. The group leaders were great too, but you listen to your lead instructor the most. Does anyone have any other questions? People are sharing the video. Yay! And like I said before, feel free to send me an email, anything like that. Find me on social media. I read everything and I try to respond pretty quickly, but if I ever don't respond, send me another email, because chances are I read it and I forgot to respond. Natalie, did you ever group lead? No, Natalie, I didn't. I did not group lead. I lived in Hawaii and now I live in Spain. If you ever have a program in Spain, NTA, over the next few years, I would love to help out with that. But yeah, my life is a little bit crazy with what my husband does. We're kind of all over the place, so I never really had the opportunity to be a group leader. Any more questions? Any more questions? It's really quiet here. I wish you guys were like all in person. It would be so much more fun if everyone was in person, but this is cool. I love modern technology. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if there's anyone out there that's watching that is on the fence of whether or not they should go through the training, I would say just do it. I always go back to the Nike phrase, just do it. You will go through it and your eyes will be opened, and you'll be really thankful that you did it. Hi from New York, starting NTA class next week. Hi, Margaret. Oh, there's more questions. When you work with clients, is it primarily online? Can you tell us what's that like? Yes. Sorry if I wasn't super clear on that. I feel like there's so many things I could talk about. So online, like I said, I've kind of set up forms and I have systems in place on how I do different things. I am working on kind of more more strict formatted program for clients, but that's something that takes a lot of time. So usually I do phone consultations, and so it's pretty much just like your normal consultation, although it's over the phone. So, just kind of like you have a client in your office or you're talking to a friend over a cup of coffee, whatever the case may be, I try to always kind of keep it like it was in person, but it is usually all over the phone. So phone consultations are what I do most. Sometimes people want a video call, which is fun sometimes as well, but sometimes people just want to do it over the phone. And then a lot of follow-up emails, and usually I try to ask like the client what they prefer. Like, I've had clients who I text before. Sometimes that's interesting on the weekends. But yeah, I would say, especially when you don't have a physical office, ask your client, like, okay, do you prefer that we talk once a week? Do you prefer you get like a little encouraging text? Like, some people just need that, text message. How's your workout routine? Are you drinking water? Different things like that. Sometimes people need that constant encouragement. So if you are going to be doing things online, I do always recommend asking your clients what is their preferred form of communication. How intense is the training itself? Heidi, I did the training while working full-time and while planning a wedding and getting married and having a husband deploy. So, not saying that that's necessarily a good thing, but it definitely is possible. I wouldn't say it's like a full load, like a full college load. You definitely do have time for other things. Granted, I don't have children, so if you're working full-time and you have children and you're trying to do NTA, I guess I can't speak from personal experience because I don't have children, but that seems like it might be a little bit much because I just have myself to take care of and my husband when he's home. But yeah, it's definitely possible to work and to do the training, I would say. Could someone have a job while they're in class? Yeah, I totally think that's possible. There's one other question. How do you charge for your emails, texts, etc.? So I have programs set up on my website, and like if it's an hour consultation, they get charged a certain amount. If it's a half an hour consultation, they get charged a certain amount. And then if it's a larger program that includes more the follow-up support, then that's obviously a more expensive price. But oftentimes people just want like an hour consultation, and so then that includes like one follow-up email, and I just clearly communicate that. But you can see my pricing. You can see my pricing on my website, which is Colorful Eats. I missed the beginning. Did you start working with clients immediately after you graduated? That seems like a while ago. Yeah, I did. I had one person that I kind of helped, it was like a full-time job. She was pregnant with triplets, and so that was kind of took over my life. So I helped in a lot of different aspects. And then I do a lot of, online things, and so like writing blog posts, that takes a lot of time. You may just see a blog post, but usually there's at least 12 hours of work that goes into every blog post. So that's a lot of work. But yeah, I did I did for sure start working with clients right away. I also moved a few times in the midst of all that, so that was a little bit crazy. Are there any other questions? Oops, sorry, my voice got loud. Susan, you asked how I charge. I think I already answered that, but you can go on my website and see the pricing that I have laid out. My pricing was not, when I first started, it was definitely not as much. But if you didn't watch the whole thing, go back to where I say about not selling yourself short. That's probably my biggest advice to new NTAs and new NTPs. Does anyone have any more questions? I'll hang out for like another minute unless there are more questions. I think that's everything. I hope I answered all your questions. If not, send me an email, but thank you guys for joining, and it was so fun to connect with you all via the Facebook. So have a great day, night for those of you in the UK or wherever you are in the world. So thank you guys. Have a good night.